I've done a couple of videos today, about the cleaning products, about how to do a board replacement. So now the final stage of looking after your sort of new floor is stripping, cleaning and putting a new dressing on top of it. So again, we're in the shop, I'm about to start, so I'm just going to go through the process with you. First of all, we start off, clear the area of everything. So if it's your kitchen, you're moving your bin, you're moving all the chairs, tables, everything out of the way. So you've got a completely clear area. Once you're at that stage, we're going to vacuum the floor. First of all, we're going to put some masking tape where we don't want the solution to go. As I said to you before in previous videos, the solution to take the old polish off is quite strong, quite concentrated. So we dilute it 10:1, but again, we wouldn't want it to get on carpets or things that potentially could get damaged. So it's just preventing the problem before it arises. So today we're only going to dress up to the edge of the parquet. We're not going to do the whole shop. We just want to do the front of the shop, which gets the most wear and tear. So we're clear now. Some low stick masking tape, if you can get some. Hopefully this one is still okay. And we're just going to put it along a line where we want to stop. Now this will be fine to put on carpets as long as it's only left there for a short term. You wouldn't want to put it on top of a floor with underfloor heating if the underfloor heating was on, because the adhesive would go off quite quickly. So it's just a case of just covering all the fine areas with that. So we're going to dress up to that point and then we'll take the masking tape off. Right, there we go. We put the masking tape along the areas where we don't want the dressing and the stripper to go. Very important, the bottom of the stair carpet. So we've got a sort of runner here in the shop, so we don't want to touch that if we can avoid it. That little piece over there as well, and just up to the areas. We're not going right into every corner. You don't need to do skirting boards unless you're really worried about them. When you're mopping around the edge, you would just be away from it sort of a couple of inches, and then you might just wipe that across by hand. So here we go. So we've got our bucket. We've put, in this situation, we put 3 litres of water. So that means we've got to put 21 capfuls of stripper into that. I put 18 in so far. 19, 20, 21. So it's 7 capfuls per litre of cold water into the bucket. Make sure you put the lid back on. Make sure you put that on a surface which is a protected surface so you can't damage. If you do spill it, wipe it off straight away. Right, here we go. So we've cleaned the floor, we've put the masking tape around it, we've mixed the solution 10:1. So we're all ready. So that's in the bucket ready to go. Always remember, when we're doing this now, we only want to keep the solution on the floor for about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes maximum. We do not want the solution to dry on the floor. So you've got to act quite quickly. When I say that, you only do a section that you think you can clean properly in a 10-minute period. So we've got the shop here. So we're only going to work sort of halfway up, if you can imagine. So I'm only going to work to about this area here. So I'm going to clean that, and then I'm going to wash it with cold water. Now it's always good to have a couple of buckets of cold water, so you can mix. So you can, when you wipe the solution, you go to rinse it out in one bucket, and then you can use the fresh cold water in the other bucket. I don't know if you can see here. So I've got 2 buckets all ready to go with a separate mop. So there is a little bit of preparation needed for this. You can't just go into it just with one mop with one bucket, because you've got to act very quickly. So it's good to have a few different things all ready to go. Once you're all prepared, it's quite straightforward. I'm going to let the video run, and I'm going to do one section now in 10 minutes. As I say, don't let it dry. If it's a warm day and there's sun coming through the window, just make sure you're keeping the floor wet as you go along. Right, so hopefully you can hear me. So I've mixed the solution up, as you can see. It's in a bucket, normal sort of Violida mop head. So I'm just going to do up to about halfway here. So plenty of water going on, right up to the edges. So just up to there, you haven't got to go right over. And then yeah, so once you do one sort of section like that, if that needs the, if you feel it's got scratches and that, then you would use a sort of a standard sort of green scourer pad, and you literally go over it like this. What we're going to do, we're going to let the solution sit on it for about 10 minutes, then we're going to wipe it off, or then we're going to agitate it, and then we're going to get it off. Right, so now we're going to leave it. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see me in there. So we've put the solution on. The idea is that now that is slowly breaking down the old dressing, and as that works, as I say, it takes about 10 minutes, but so we don't want to let it dry. So if we see it starting to dry, put some more solution on it and just rub it over, and then we'll start to clean it off. Right, so it's been about 6 minutes now. So again, using your green scrap. If you've got a sort of buffing machine, a little handheld one, you can use that as well. That works quite well, or very well, saves you a lot of time. But you will need the small scourer when you're doing in the sort of intricate bits around door frames and things like that. But literally all you're doing is scouring the surface. Again, you only do this if you're trying to get rid of the scratches and marks. If it's just getting your floor cleaner and a fresh look, you just need the mop and just giving it a wipe over will be enough. But if you're trying to get rid of scratches, this is what you need. And again, you can use by hand, you can get to the edges a lot easier. Very nice. As you can see, I've only done a certain amount because I feel that's enough, because you can get a bit wet if you're scrubbing the floor, you're on your hands and knees. So, right, been exactly 10 minutes now. So I've just given the floor another good clean by hand. So I'm pleased with that. So now we're going to just use the clean water. As you can see, I've got two buckets. One to apply the water, one to rinse off, and so it doesn't cross-contaminate. These sort of mops are really good. This is one of these sort of rope sort of mops. Okay. And what this is doing, this is removing everything. So that's getting all the old gunk going in there. And then we've got nice clean water in here. You can use the mop to agitate if you see any little bits that you've missed. And hopefully that will get rid of all the old dressing. And just literally go over the floor while it's still wet, getting rid of any other little bits of the old dressing. pretty good. Stripped, cleaned and washed down. You can see where one side is light and one side is sort of shiny. So that's without any dressing on it at the moment. I'm just going to go over and see if I can spot any bits that I might have missed. But yeah, pleased with that so far. And then we continue the same process. So we're going to do the middle section and then we'll do the end section. So this is the floors, how they look now. So they're quite dull looking, I would say. You wouldn't think they've got a shine to them at all. So, but you can see a lot of it has been all the grime and all the grit that might have been in there, which normal cleaning doesn't necessarily take away. Has certainly come off, and you can't even notice. There is where we did the board replacement. If you looked at the other video, so you can't even really notice where that's happened. As I say, majority of the little minor scratches have gone. This process won't take every scratch out. If you're going to do that, you've got to do it with a neat stripper, and it takes a little bit longer working in that one area. Wherever possible, changing the damaged tile is always the best way to get a perfect thing. So I'm going to start putting the dressing on now, and then you'll see the difference when that's dried. Hi all, right, we've done the worst of it. So what we've done so far is put the stripper on, and then we've washed the floors and thoroughly rinsed them out, so they're all looking much cleaner and much better. Right, we're nearly at the stage now. I've just shown you the floor. It's dried, it's been cleaned, it's been stripped. We've rinsed it down with cold water. Everything's ready to go. So we're out to put the dressing on top. Now we put the dressing on neat, and you put 2 coats on. The idea is we do one coat going one direction and then the other coat going the other direction, and then you cover the floor perfectly. We've cleaned the mop out. Again, this was the mop used for rinsing off, so we thoroughly cleaned that out, so that's ready to go. So I'm going to show doing it, so you're not going to see close up at this stage, but hopefully it'll just give you a simple idea of how it's done. So the dressing, I'll just show you that. I don't know if you can see that. So it's sort of a milky sort of colour. So that's going to go on the floor. You can pour this straight from the bottle. You haven't got to put it in a. So you literally just put it on the floor like that. The mop. Just generously put it over all the areas you need. So right up to the edge. Again, you don't want to go sparingly. You want plenty on the floor, but you don't want to leave any streaks. So you've got to make sure that you're continuously moving the mop. We don't want any areas which aren't covered. And one thing that's very important when you're putting the dressing on is that you don't walk on the floor. If you walk on it and then you put the dressing on top, you might have a footprint underneath there. So be very careful, never walk on the wet dressing. Also, it's very slippery. So as you can see, back and forth, so you're covering all of the floor. We don't want any streaks at all on it if we can avoid it. Once we're happy with that, again, we've left the masking tape on, and if you can see that at the bottom of the stairs. The idea, again, we don't want any liquid touching carpets if we can avoid it. Even though this is not chemically as strong as the stripper, it still has got an element in there, so you just want to keep it to the floor if you can. So going over both directions, continuous flow. In a figure 8 motion is great. We don't want no patches. If you look down there, I don't know if you can see. Continuous figure of 8 shape. Right, that's the final, the second coat gone on of the floor. As you can see, looking very nice. Takes about 30 minutes to dry. Want to stay off it as long as possible so it is completely dry before major furniture goes back on top. And then when you are putting your furniture back on top, you want to put some felt pads underneath the furniture so it doesn't cause any scratches or any other marks. Come back the next day now, just to have a look at the floors. Everything's looking really good, really pleased with the finished result. I'll show you a few close-ups now. So this is the finished effect. As you can see, you've got that lovely shine on the floor. Really just brought a luster up and a nice finishing touch. That really just brings it back to as it was when it was first laid. And as you can see, we've got the nice staircase in the shop showing what a runner with Amtico on the stairs can look like. Worth doing if you've got some time. So if you need advice, you can just give us a call and we'll go over everything with you.